Hello and good afternoon. My name is Jürgen Steinmetz, joining you from the Breaking News Show in Honolulu, Hawaii. And with me today is Boris Otter. He's actually based in Geneva, Switzerland, one of the most beautiful cities in Europe, I would say. And you can see his background. He's president of the Swiss Space Tourism Association, and he will tell us a little bit more. And it's quite fascinating. We invited Boris after receiving a press release at eTurbo News about his activities. And I thought, wait a minute, space tourism, space? That's not anything you would really think about Switzerland that much. You would more think about NASA and maybe Sputnik in Russia. But I have not really seen Switzerland in connection with space and space tourism. Boris, welcome. Tell us a little bit more. What are you guys doing?
Yes, thank you for invitation. So actually, you're telling Switzerland is not very much connected with space tourism. It's true. I can just confirm by the fact that until now, since the last 25 years, Switzerland got only one astronaut, Claude Nicollier, who went 4 times to space on board Space Shuttle with NASA. So I was thinking, why not to become one time the second Swiss citizen to fly to space? And I started really to think hard about it from 2013, because 2013 I wanted to make a zero-G flight, zero gravity flight on board aircraft. It was several options, like in USA, in France, or in Russia. And I decided myself to fly on board a Russian aircraft in Star City in Yushin 76. And you will ask me, but why? Why did you go to Russia? Why didn't you go to France? Because simply this aircraft was the biggest one you could fly inside weightlessness. It has the highest ceiling and the least people on board, only 14 passengers. And I could fly really during 10 parabolas fully weightlessness, like Superman, crossing the aircraft from the back to the front, flying like this. It's absolutely awesome videos you can see on my YouTube channel also. So basically, if I want to introduce myself also, I will tell you that I'm a former pilot. I was flying aircraft, helicopter, seaplane, gyrocopter. And after a while, when I was doing all these kind of things, I decided to aim at something higher. And since I discovered that it was possible to make cosmonauts training in Russia, I said, okay, let's go for it. So I went 3 times to Star City, where American astronauts and Russian cosmonauts are getting their training. I went there in 2016, 2018, and 2019. And there I had this possibility to train on several modules that are used, like, for example, to wear a Sokol spacesuit, which you can see behind me. And also behind me, it's the Soyuz simulator, meaning that you are able to try this simulator on how to dock a Soyuz capsule to the International Space Station. I was also making a flight on board a military Russian aircraft to get some G-forces. I got up to 6 Gs. It's not as much as Tom Cruise in Maverick, but it's already quite a lot, I would say. And I was trying also several things like flight simulators that were also accessible. And I was also checking Orlan spacesuit that is going to space when they make extravehicular activities. And my next goal now is simply to go to space. I want to become a space tourist. And just to explain you briefly how I want to do this. So I created Swiss Space Tourism Association, which has several goals. One of them is to send this president and founder to space, meaning that I'm the one who is organizing, acting, preparing everything, including having contact with major space companies. You know that actually it's 4 of, let's say, 5 companies who could send you to space. You have what? You have Virgin Galactic, you have Blue Origin, you have SpaceX, you have Axiom, you have Russians also who can send you to space, and soon it will be probably China, because you know that China, they have a International Space Station now, and I can bet that within a few years, access will be given also for space tourists. So what I did is that I was trying to connect with one of these major space company and to get an offer in order to book a full capsule with 6 seats on board. And I received an offer. Unfortunately, you know, this kind of situation is quite confidential. You have a non-disclosure agreement. I cannot communicate neither the price officially nor the name of the company, but be informed that I will offer 5 seats to sell to join me on board this capsule, because I will act as the flight commander of this mission, even if you don't need flight commander because all is automatic. But I mean, you need to have someone who is in command of such kind of space flight, let's say like this. And I'm opening these 5 seats to the world. I mean, whoever wants to fly to space, whoever is able to pay for his ticket or can be invited by, for example, let's take an example. In Switzerland, we have a lot of watches, you know, Rolex, Omega, just a name like this. If one of them is telling, we have an excellent client, this guy is buying us 10 or 20 high luxury watches every year, let's offer him a flight to space. Then the company will say, I'm offering to my best client a flight to space to thank him for his actions towards our company. It will be just absolutely amazing. And this company could do the same for his best employee. I mean, if you are a seller in a company and you are making a very good sales for your company, why they would not reward you with a space flight? Can you imagine how much public relation and media's connection it can give after if you send your best employee to space? Everybody wants to work for this company, something like this. So my idea
to know who would really go, who has the guts to go. I can tell you, if you offer this to me, I would probably say, oh, interesting, I better watch it on TV.
Yeah, but you know, it's not like the time when it was with Yuri Gagarin or Neil Armstrong when they were flying to the moon or make orbital flight. We are speaking about suborbital flight, meaning that it's a short flight. You are going through Kármán line at 100 kilometers of altitude. You get these 4 minutes of weightlessness and this overview effect. And I should give just one word about this overview effect. I want to go to space because this is the only thing you cannot simulate from Earth. I mean, I was trying everything. I made zero-G flight. I made high G forces on military aircraft. I was putting a spacesuit. I was eating space food. I was making flight simulator. All this is possible on ground. But to get the overview effect, which all astronauts are telling that it's changing their life when they come back, you can only live it by your own eyes. You need to be upstairs to watch through the window of your spaceship, to look at the Earth and to think, wow, I'm in space. This is the view I have, 100 kilometers. Bang, you get the overview effect full face. This is what I want to see. And after to come back to share this impression and these emotions and feelings someone can get when he's going into space.
Do you have to go through the heat shield to do this, or is it before you get? I mean, I'm really ignorant. I don't know much about space flight, obviously. But when you go up there, how dangerous is it? What is this spaceship have to be built? How does it have to be built to sustain whatever it needs to sustain?
Okay, space is dangerous. I cannot say that it's no danger. We have seen during space conquest that already, let's say, more than 25 astronauts died during this space mission, including 2 times with a space shuttle. It happened in Russia also with Virgin Galactic. People are dying when they try to go to space. But now with the new systems, you can see that the worst moments, it's either on liftoff or on the return. But since we are not making an orbital flight, we are descending, let's say, not so fast. You know, it's not 20,000 kilometers per hour. It's 3,000-4,000 maximum. So it's already more easy to break the speed of the spaceship. However, if you have a big explosion on takeoff, one of the options to save your life is to make an ejection of the capsule. It's a system that will push up with high G forces the capsule and the people on board to the highest altitude possible to escape the main site of explosion. And after you will descend under parachute. This is one of the options. Now you have also the risks that when you are going back to Earth, you have normally 3 or 4 parachutes that will open above your capsule. And if they don't open, what happens? But in this case, you just die. I mean, this is the risk. It's no other options. If the parachutes are not opening, then you will not come back alive. But this situation happened only once in all space conquest with a Russian Soyuz aircraft, and single cosmonaut on board died, of course, because of a high-speed impact. But of course, if you don't accept the risks, you will never go to space. You have to take a part of these risks with you. And it's somehow like to drive a car. You know, you can drive very good and be an excellent driver, but if someone else or something else is falling on your car at the time you are trying to drive, it's no chance. It's also a factor of chance.
And how long is the flight?
You have several options, actually. I'm giving you example of Virgin Galactic. They have a flight that is more or less 2 hours, 2 hours, 30 minutes, but it's always the same story with another company that is Blue Origin. They give a flight that is much shorter, maybe 12, 13 minutes. But at the end, what you want to be weightlessness, and you want to have the overview effect. And this phase is more or less 4-5 minutes. During 4-5 minutes, you are floating completely free inside the capsule. You can watch via the window. You can see the planet, the black of the universe. And this is why you are paying so much to go to space, to be inside this situation of floating, you know, like a bubble of champagne, and to see this view. This is what you want, actually.
So you would actually unfasten and unbuckle when you're in this, when you're in space, in your space capsule, and you can just float around. Is that the idea? Or?
Absolutely. When you are in a phase that is authorizing you to unbuckle, you do it, and then you float freely inside the capsule. You know, I was pilot. I was also aerobatic pilot, and I had this possibility, being in command, to make zero-G flight. I was making parabola, but with a small aircraft, you can simulate maximum 5, 6, 7 seconds. And since I was a pilot, I was always holding the stick, meaning that I was floating with my belt on, but I could not let the stick. And I was thinking, I must do something to make this zero-G flight without holding the stick and make it longer. That's what I made with a zero gravity flight on board a cargo aircraft, Yushin 76. But the next level, it's not to make, let's say 26, 27 seconds, which is what I had so far. It's to make the 4 minutes. And if you are lucky enough, if you win a lottery, for example, or if you find really the big sponsor that will promote you to go to space, you can make it 2 weeks. And you are making like Yusaku Maezawa, the Japanese billionaire who bought his own ticket to go to space and who took with him one of his employees. And the job of the employee was to film the boss. I mean, this is the best job in the world. You are paid to go to space and to film your boss being in International Space Station. That was something absolutely fantastic. That was giving inspiration to many people.
But on your trip, how much is the trip? You said Rolex watch will sponsor it. So how much do they have to sponsor?
Okay, this is a point that I cannot discuss because it's confidential, but I can give you some information more or less that are public. You know that it was like a bet that was made by a company, let's call this company Blue Origin, and they were selling their first seat. Right. And the highest bid was at $28 million, $28 million. For one seat.
A lot of Rolexes for that, right?
You can see how much Rolex, but the price went somehow down. And it's one of the passengers who already flew 2 times with this company. He's paying his seat $8 million. His seat, $8 million. Wow. Me, I'm booking the full capsule, meaning 6 seats. But I'm telling you, the price is less than $8 million per seat. I cannot give you more information for the moment. But all people who are really interested and motivated can contact me, and then we will have to sign a non-disclosure agreement if we want to communicate about the price.
What's your physical condition in order to consider this? I mean, you have to be in top health, right? Otherwise, you're going to get a heart attack.
Okay, make a difference between real astronaut training and space tourism training. If you want to go to make a suborbital flight, you will get 3 days of training, only 3 days, more or less. If you want to go to International Space Station, it's 3 to 4 months. So it's not the same by the training fact. And about health and medical capabilities, it's more or less completely different. Once to go to a suborbital flight, it's like for private pilot medical visit, for example, private pilots. But if you want to go to space, it would be more like airline pilot, though it's different. What you need to have, it's a good physical conditions, no heart problem, no operation recent, no high pressure. Generally speaking, what is the most important, and I saw it when I was making my zero-G flight, it's high pressure. Because if you get high G forces, it can affect your heart, your body. This is, let's say, dangerous for your health. So better to have normal or not too high pressure and good heart conditions. How to do that? I mean, if you make sport, if you are training on a regular basis, if you are physically normal, you can do it. But just to remind Captain Kirk from Star Trek went to space and he was almost 90 years old.
Wow, wow, wow.
So it's possible. I mean, it's not so high for a suborbital flight conditions, medically speaking, to reach.
So once you start this, will you take off from Switzerland and return to Switzerland, or where would this be happening?
No. It's planned actually from USA. All providers, let's say, are taking off from USA. I mean, it can be Virgin Galactic, it can be Blue Origin, SpaceX, Axiom. It could be also Russia, but then the price is much more expensive. I can give you the price for Russia. It's minimum 35 million US dollar for one seat. So you see, this is something that is not reachable just like this, unless you are a millionaire, billionaires, or win at the lottery or get a very good sponsor. But of course, the flight is supposed to be from USA.
Wow, it's really fascinating. And how you said you have 6 passengers you take, and is this aircraft will be returning the same way it takes off, or is it losing parts? And you see the old Apollo movies where you take off and then you only have a little capsule coming back.
Okay, it's several options. Yes, it's more or less like this. You have normally a rocket taking off. It's a part that is separating from the main rocket, and after this part is going down. Or it can be also Virgin Galactic when you have a like aircraft, rocket aircraft that is flying above Kármán line and descending like a glider. So several options exist. Actually, I received one offer from one of these companies, but I'm planning to ask the same offer to the other company because I want to have several possibilities. One is very expensive, one is less expensive, and depending on who wants to fly to space with me and the budget he can have, we could choose the option that is less expensive or the most expensive. But of course, more expensive, better the quality of the dream.
Right. No, especially in space, you don't want to be choosy. So how do you see this future of space tourism? This is obviously something new. It's starting, it's exciting, and it's the same as aviation 100 some years ago started, I guess. Do you have any crystal ball how this might look in 100 years from now?
I don't think it will be something that everybody will be able to afford. First of all, the price will be extremely high and remain extremely high. Now we have price, for example, with Virgin Galactic that are around $500,000. Even if you can reduce them to $100,000, it's a lot of money. It's really a lot of money. I mean, most of the people, they have family, they have wife, kids, and they need to make up decisions. Am I using this money for myself only, or am I using this money for my family and we build a house and we live all together? There will be choice to make, and I don't think that many people will decide to spend so much money for a so short trip. We should be somehow reasonable. But if they have the option, I mean, if they have someone who will take them under their wings and say, okay, I'm offering you this flight, you will make big advertisement about what you will get as emotions, as a scientific or educational results during this flight. Because my idea to fly to space, it's to make several experience. First, I want to make this experience of the overview effect and to describe it in detail, how a space tourist can live and experience this overview effect. I want to try also the system of space sickness, how you can feel sick in space, because you know that many astronauts and cosmonauts get sick in space, but they don't like to speak about it. And the reason is easy to understand why, because if they say or complain, I was sick, okay, so next time you will not fly, we will put someone else who will be not be sick. They better say nothing about this. But me, since I made 10 parabola in 0G, after the parabola number 7, 8, 9, I was starting to feel not very comfortable, because you make 10 times like this. It means 20 times you get 2 Gs when the aircraft is pulling up, and 20 times when it's again pulling up. It was quite physically difficult. And in our flight, we were only 11 passengers, and 3 of them, they vomited. Not during 0G, but during the flight in between 2 0G flights, they had to take the bag to vomit. So it is somehow space sickness. And I want to see if during the 4 minutes weightlessness flight, it's the same situation and the same emotions and feelings That's during a zero gravity flight. But again, I think that it will be restricted in the number of people. Also, not only because of the cost, it can be also the question of ecology, because you know that it's always the questions of the planet, which is warming up. Is it good that the rockets are going into space? Does it damage atmosphere? Is it having an impact on the ozone layer? These points also should be seen, and we cannot send unlimited rockets. I think it will be limited to only a small quantity of the population, only, let's say, very rich people or scientific who wants to make some study during a short flight or longer flight in space.
So you don't really see it replacing international air transport in a faster way to get from Beijing to Frankfurt in an hour or so. So that's not going to happen, right? I see.
Well, I mean, I know that Elon Musk is planning to make flights like this, but until I will see this happening, it can be a long time, many years, and the price of the tickets again will be so much expensive that it will be only for a very few lucky people. It will not be accessible to everyone. No way.
And your space trips, non-gravity trips, I think you're calling it. Where would you do these trips? Are they still ongoing? Is there something what you're still doing, and where would you, I mean, obviously you wouldn't be able to do this in Switzerland because it's a small country and you have a lot of air traffic and a lot of mountains, so I don't think that doesn't sound too safe, does it?
You are speaking about the suborbital flight or zero gravity?
Yeah, the zero gravity flights, yes.
Okay, no, zero gravity flights. I mean, you can do it from everywhere with a small aircraft. As I said, between 5, 6, 7 seconds, you can try what is a zero G. It's a pilot that will pull up on the stick, push it forward, cut the engine, reduce the power, let's say like this, not cut the engine. And during these 5, 6, 7 seconds, you will float completely free. I had chance to do it with my kids during a private flight. I made beautiful video. You should see the face kid. It's a smile until their ears. I mean, they are so happy and so glad to live this kind of emotions. But after, if you want to do it longer, you need to take one of the 3 companies officially that are doing it, meaning one in USA with a Boeing 727, one in France with an Airbus 310, and one in Russia with a Ilyushin 76 MDK. This is aircraft that are specially made for zero G flights experience. And this, almost everybody can do it. Price, let's say 6,000 euros, something like this, meaning 6,000 US dollar, more or less. You can put the money on the table, you make medical checkup, you go to the place, new medical checkup before the flight, and if you are fit to fly, then you try to experiment weightlessness like astronauts are really doing. And this is just amazing.
Like an hour, or how long are these flights?
Flight is 1 hour, 30 minutes, more or less. It takes more or less 30 minutes to reach the flight zone after you make a parabola in a special place that is free of other traffic, of course, because you are climbing, descending, and if you have traffic crossing, it's not possible. So it's special zones that are located specially for this kind of flights. And after 30 minutes to come back, and you have done it, and you have a lot of nice videos and photos that are made by professionals on board, so you can share it after.
Well, that's really fascinating subject you have. So if people want to learn more about it or even want to become a passenger, is it too early to think about it, or should they contact you, or?
Well, okay, I would suggest to go to Swiss Space Tourism website, because there I put all videos that I made of my own training, meaning that all what I was doing, including a flight on board a Sukhoi 27, which is really a military Russian jet. You cannot fly it anymore. When I did it in 1994, I was 25 years old, only one of the youngest guy to fly a Russian military aircraft. You can see even this video, and all what is my weightlessness experience. Also, all 10 parabolas are visible on my YouTube channel. I mean, if you put my name and YouTube, you will access and see all what is possible. So I want to share and to show what you can reach, not being an astronaut professional, not being a millionaire or a billionaire, but space tourist. Space tourist, it's someone who wants to try some experience, some flights, in order to reach one time the Kármán line and to see the overview effect by looking through the window. This is possible. I mean, you can act. Okay, now we have some, let's say, war problems with Russia. As you know, it's Ukraine, Russia, it's a close border, but it's not impossible to reach. You can go via Dubai or via Istanbul. It's possible to reach Russia, but it's much more difficult. But these things are possible. And if you don't want to fly to Russia and to make cosmonaut trainings there, you can always try to France or to USA, but it's not the same access. In Russia, you can do everything. I mean, you can even make simulation of extravehicular activities, meaning that you will try Orlan spacesuit, go into the swimming pool where you have a mock-up of International Space Station, and you will float like if you were in space, in zero gravity, and move all around the station with some exercise to practice. And this is one of the next event I want to try once it will be more easy to access.
Tell me, what's your website again? People should go to.
It's Swiss. You just put on Google Swiss Space Tourism, and you will have the list with the website, the SwissSpaceTourism.ch.
Wonderful. And you said, of course, Russia, it's going to be, I agree, a little bit difficult to get to, especially here from the United States. And you mentioned here in the US, there's also a possibility. Tell us just a little bit more. What are we doing here in the US?
Actually, you can go to NASA and to see what they can offer for experience. But for me, with my experience, I went to Kennedy Space Center in Florida. It's more connected like Disneyland. You know, you are trying some kind of events. You go into small simulators or larger simulators, but it's not connected with real astronaut training. It is like protected by NASA. This is not for Mr. or Mrs. Everybody. If you want to go, you should go maybe to NASTAR. I think NASTAR is giving you possibility to make centrifuge, to make some special training related with astronaut, real training. But actually, the only company more or less who is offering the real training, it's Russia. But you can find something that is more or less corresponding in USA if you want to make it from USA and to use their material. But it will probably not be as real as what you can get in Russia, because I had chance to work there with real instructors that were giving to the French or German or Italian astronaut of European space agencies training, and it's not a fake. I mean, it's real material. Behind me, you can see this so-called spacesuit. It's not for tourists. This spacesuit went to space. It's belonging to one Russian cosmonaut who went to space, spent 6 months in International Space Station and came back. And this spacesuit, after, they can be given to a space tourist who wants to try, depending on your height and your weight, and you are fitting more or less one of the spacesuits that they have available.
Wow, that was really a fascinating story, Boris, and I thank you so much. Please keep us informed, because this looks like the story is by far not over yet. It's developing and will be developing for many years to come. But I'm really glad we had you here today. And anyone who's watching us right now on breakingnewsshow.com or eTopo News or any of our affiliated from Hawaii News Online, aviation.travel and so forth, and you want to watch it again, just stay tuned, because you most likely will repeat it for 24 hours. Every 2 hours like we do. And then you can always go to our YouTube channel, or you go to breakingnewsshow.com and it'll be archived. But Boris, thank you so much. We say mahalo here, merci in Geneva, and hopefully we have you again. And you're so lucky to live in such a beautiful city. Tell us a little bit, how's Geneva these days?
It's actually very hot, because we have like canicula, which is coming around. The temperature will reach 37, 38 degrees, which is very, very high. We are not used to have such temperature, but we have a beautiful lake. So if you want to refresh, you can always jump inside the lake and enjoy some fresh times. But the best, I would say, it's to move to Montaigne. It's much more fresh and fresh air also. Actually, I'm just back from holidays and I spent 1 full week in Montaigne. It was just perfect. Last thing I wanted to show, to show that this space mission is coming slowly to a reality. I have already a space mission patch, and you can see the internet site also. And you can see the astronaut inside is the commander of the mission, and it's 5 stars around because we have 5 seats available.
All right. Well, Anyone who wants to go to space, just call Boris because you're selling out soon. I assume. And thank you again, Boris. Hope we have you back soon.
You're welcome, and do not hesitate to contact me if you need any more information and follow up.
Okay, we'll do. Stay in touch. Aloha. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you very much. Aloha. Bye-bye.